As you read the directions for example 2, sometimes people look at this and they think that it's the same kind of thing that we just did in example 1, and they think that the author is asking us to evaluate each one of these as number answers. That in fact is not what example 2 is asking us to do. Ultimately, our answers in example 2 will always involve the letters that they gave us in the directions. We have A and B as part of the directions. So in part A, they're asking us to take log base 5 of 6, and they want us to rewrite it in terms of those letters A and B. So we need to figure out then how to make that connection happen. And because we're in a section that's all about properties of logarithms, it's probably going to be one of those properties of logs. So let's go ahead and see what we see. Example 2a, we have log base 5 of 6. Now, in order to do this problem, what I have to see is that 6 is not one of those pieces that they gave me in the directions. They told me what log base 3 of 2 was, and they told me what log base 5 of 3 was. So what I need to do then is make a connection between this number 6 and the two arguments that were given to me in the directions, 2 and 3. So what can I do on a 2 and a 3 to make a 6 happen? I can multiply them. So I'm going to start by rewriting this as log base 5 of the multiplication problem 2 times 3. Now, there are lots of different ways I could write down that multiplication problem, but I'm choosing the 2 and the 3 because those are the two arguments that were given to me in the directions. So now that I have this then, notice I have a log of a multiplication property. We have a multiplication property for logarithms, and it says that if you have the log of a multiplication problem, that's exactly the same then as the log of the first piece in your argument plus the log of the second thing in your argument, so log base 5 of 3. Now there are lots of things I want you to notice about what I just wrote on the board. So item number 1, notice the base of all these logs are the same. Item number 2, remember once again that I have one copy of the LOG when it's written as a multiplication, but I have to have 2 copies of the LOG when it's written as the addition. So now that I have that, one more reminder, there's a connection between multiplication and addition. So now that I have this then, remember the directions? They told me that log base 5 of 2 was associated with the letter A. So I can just replace this chunk in the front by an A. And this chunk in the back, log base 5 of 3, according to the directions, is the letter B. So plus B. So a moment ago I said that this problem is asking us to write down our answers in terms of A's and B's. There it is. Log base 5 of 6 is A plus B. Well, now that you know the game, it's just a matter of repeating that on each one of these problems and asking yourself, what can we do with 2's and 3's to make the arguments that are given? Well, okay, let's check out log base 5 of 9. So log base 5 of 9. What kinds of things can I do with 2's and 3's to make a 9 happen? Well, there are a couple of different things I could do. So some of you might say, oh, 9 is 3 times 3. And if I did 3 times 3, I could just repeat the process that we did back in A. So log base 5 of 3 times 3 becomes an addition problem and I can move forward. However, I can also look at this 9 and say that that's going to be 3 squared. So now that I have that then, remember that we were talking a moment ago about property 7. Property 7 says that if you have the log of somebody to a power, you can bring that power down in front. And that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to be 2 times log base 5 of 3. But log base 5 of 3 is associated with the letter B. So this is in fact 2b. Up here you would have gotten b plus b. B plus b is do b as well. So different ways of getting there, but ultimately the same answer. We would get that 2b. Well, let's check out part C then. So part C we have log base 5. Square root of 2. Well, first thing that I notice is that I don't have a 3 on this problem, so it's got to have something to do with a 2. Now, there's a 2 under the radical. So let's see if we can rewrite this as 2 and maybe to a different power. So remember that square roots are in fact the same as a 1/2 power. So we'll replace this square root by a 1/2. So that's 2 to the 1/2 power. Now that I have that, once again, property 7 is going to kick in. I have a log and then somebody to a power. I can bring that power down in front. And this is then the same as 1/2 times log base 5 of 2. But log base 5 of 2, once again, is a. So this is 1/2 a. Now there are lots of different ways you could write that. If you like it as 1/2 a, that's fine. If you would prefer to say that that's a divided by 2, that's fine too. So I'll go ahead and write this one, but also say if you want this to be a divided by 2 instead, that's a perfectly acceptable answer as well. Next off then, for part D, we have log base 5 of 3 divided by 2. Well, 3 divided by 2, there's a connection between division and subtraction. So I know that this is going to be the same as log base 5 of 3 minus log base 5 of 2. Now that I have it written like that, I can go ahead and introduce my letters again. Log base 5 of 3, that's B. Log base 5 of 2, that is A. So there's our final answer for this one. It ends up being B minus A.